What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another special video. So today I wanted to bring back our pretty popular series that we've done over time throughout the past few years. It's called the Window Shopping series, where basically we go over the relevant and important items on the central market. And I like to do this once a month, where we just take a look at all the prices and then I give you my thoughts and opinions. Should you make it? Should you buy it? Generally, the consensus is buy everything, but sometimes prices are like lower or really high to the point where making it might be the better option. But yeah, so for all of you who have asked me what are the prices of X items on the NA server, here is where it's at. So yeah, I like to do these once a month because prices do change, so it's not like a regular thing. But this is the March edition. So let's get started. Keep in mind, these are going to be items for people who are more or less like mid-game all the way to end game, and things you should be going for in the future. So I think it will be a relevant video for basically everyone. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it, and if you do, drop a quick like. And if you like the series, we'll keep doing it every month. So, over like 2 years ago, they made a change where all like boss weapons are equalized for the most part. Like all classes have the same minimum and maximum, so it doesn't really matter which one we look at, which I think is okay. For the most part, boss weapons and armors, I think you should do the Jatina quest and just get them to pen without any RNG. The only time you should be enhancing like non-Black Star boss gear is to be making fail stacks. So we're just going to look at the Black Stars because everyone's going to want them eventually. That's the end game goal for pretty much every class. So yeah, it's been a while since I've actually looked at weapons and stuff. So usually the last time I checked, main hand Black Stars were a little bit cheaper than Awakening ones. But that could have been changed because of time. Looking at this chart, it's going down. That 15 billion for a Black Star is actually pretty high. Let's take a look at some other classes just to see like what is more popular. So yeah, they're roughly about around 15.5 billion each. So yeah, let's look at some of the newer class ones. Like Megu is currently meta, so I think that was probably, ooh, that's a little bit lower. 14.5. Yeah, that makes sense. But, you know, for the most part, the minimum is at least 14 billion. So that's pretty good. That's actually higher than I expected, to be honest. And then let's look at Awakenings next. I'm actually in the process. We did episode 1 recently, and that video is up on the channel, of us trying to do a mini series of our warrior, because we played that for the season. And what I wanted to do was like show you how I would progress a new character after seasons, but I don't want to make a new account just to do that, because I'd rather just make progress on my main instead. But yeah, you can check out the other video. We talked about it. Awakening weapons. Ooh, the Awakening weapons are actually like roughly the same price. That's kind of wild, actually. So for all of you who are out there making Black Stars yourself, the main hand might be an option, because if you know how to make the Black Star weapons yourself, you just go through the quest line with the Spectre's energy and whatnot. The main hand ones don't require Spectre's energy, so it just requires the 3 boss gears. Yeah, overall, like, I guess the prices are more or less equal now, to the point where I would go for main hands because it's a little bit less material cost, I guess. Either way, it's like, if you can get one at like Pry and just slam it to Tet, that's probably more value instead of making it, because it takes you about like 30 to 50 minutes to do the quest and then enhance it from 0 to Pry, which is kind of a pain. So yeah, it's good to know that Black Star, Awakenings, and main hands are roughly the same price now. That's good. Good to know. All right, sub-weapons. These have always been generally lower than the 2 other main hands, but I believe like it, when it comes to Black Star offhand versus Kudum, I've noticed that I don't notice anything. But anyway, So like, let's say you have a Kudum at Pen Capris 20 and you're thinking about getting a Black Star. Do you think it's worth it? The answer is like, the difference is very minimal. And if you are at like super high end where you're already overcapped in AP and monster damage, it doesn't really matter. But like the difference is very minimal to the point where just get the one that you think looks nicer. But if you are at like a Tet Kudum and you're thinking, or just like Pen Kudum, Capra 0 versus Black Star at Tet, I think I would go for the Black Star, but it really just depends. I think I liked having the 3 Black Stars in general just because like they're all the same. So it's like having the 3 same things. So I think that's cool. I do believe it's actually cheaper to pen or buy a Pen Kudum and buy C20 and Capris. That's like 100 billion total, or it might be less if you are Jatinaing it. And the cost of a pen is like, yeah, I guess 120, 130. So the difference, I believe, would probably be you saving like 20 billion silver. However, the difference is you are getting a little bit of like monster DR, and you know, the hassle of not having to buy Capris is worth like the 20 billion to me. But that's just high-end stuff. Ultimately, I personally like the Black Star more, but it's just me. I would definitely, if you were thinking about enhancing Black Stars for profit, definitely not the offhand. I would either go probably Awakening or main hand now that their prices are relatively the same. So let's look at another class. What is another one that's meta? Zerkers? Wait, Zerkers use Ornamental, not same with DK. Never mind. Well, you know what's funny? Like, I wish Shy would have their own Black Star, like, Awakening instead of the Soul, because that would be nice. Yeah, okay, so, like, offhands are about 14 billion, main and Awakening are, like, 15, so that's the difference. Tax will eat it up anyway, whatever. All right, so here's the fun part that we all like to talk about. DR and evasion armor. Let's go down the whole list. I'll tell you what you should be going for. So, if you are a new player and you're looking at all of these and thinking, oh, okay, so this is obviously the end goal of Libresca. I personally think everyone these days should, if you are going like the Capris it yourself route, you should go for a Griffin instead of Gaiath, because the difference is 100 HP versus 5% resistances. Now, back in the day, I used to think resistances are a meme, and sometimes I still do think resistances in this game are a meme. But overall, like, the 100 extra HP in PvP is really not helping you. And even in PvE, if it means you not getting, like, CC'd or anything, and you get to do that 1 or 2 extra skills, I think the resist will be better, assuming it works. But ultimately, your endgame goal is to get to Libresca. Obviously, Jatina is the way to go if you don't want to spend the money. See how much that is. Boss gear is like 13 bill now, almost 14. That's wild. Remember when Magnus came down and everyone was selling theirs, and it was like 8 billion? Dude, that, and then it just went back up. I don't remember when Magnus came out. It was probably a while ago, but like, this is the curve of it. Kind of nuts. But yeah, either way, don't go for Black Star armors like the helmet or all 4 pieces. Don't go for those. Just because it's kind of annoying to enhance, and it's like the same rates. Well, not really same, but it's like relatively the same in terms of enhancing a weapon. And obviously, if like, you wouldn't be hitting it to pen, because if you got pen Black Star, you're using a huge stack, and for what, 30 billion? That's, you might as well just make a weapon, sell that weapon, and then buy anything else. So yeah, Black Star armors have been made back in the day for when Capris were like permanently sold out, and I mean, they're still permanently sold out on the market. There's probably, yeah, like, you can get it 50,000 orders. You can still get like a few hundred a day. You just can't buy them pretty regularly because there's a lot sold. So you might get like 100 to maybe 300 a day, but you just can't buy like thousands in bulk. So yeah, that's the thing. Either way, so Griffin is what I would recommend, and then Capra it to Labresca, or just save up enough silver, skip the entire grind process, and buy Labresca. All right, so kind of the same thing here. Your endgame goal is a Fallen God armor, but the difference between these two is when you Capris 10 it and you're going like for the upgrade yourself, Red Nose requires less Capris than the Dim Tree armor. Why? I have no idea, but either way, you should buy the Red Nose armor. Back in the day, the Dim Tree was best in slot because the 200 extra HP pool was a lot better than regen or recovery. But nowadays, when we have an actual better item, I believe the Red Nose, just because it's cheaper to get the other one, is a lot better. So like this is 14.5 billion. How much would this one be? Since this is 10, like how much difference would it cost? I think it's about like 1,300 Capris difference. This is probably the same. Like, but the fact is it's harder to get Capris, and I would still go to Red Nose route. So in terms of like silver gained and lost, you'd have to do the math for it, but I do think after like a brief look, I do think it equalizes out in terms of should you get Dim Tree for cheaper and then buy more Capris. Depends how patient you are, to be honest. That's all it comes down to. And then obviously, once you get Fallen God, that's where like the game gets stressful. Most people, I would say, stop at Duo, and then people get lucky slamming hammers and cronstones on Tri and Tet, myself included. I got pretty lucky with this armor one. But yeah. As we all know, when it comes to gloves, the next region, the Morning Light Zone, whatever it's called, Port Rat, they're going to be coming out with a new equivalent of Fallen God Labresca. For the gloves, they're going to have a DR and evasion version, which I think is pretty good. Obviously, there's actual choices this time. Are you DR? You go Begs. Are you evasion? You go Libers. And a lot of people have always asked me, is it better to go evasion or DR? And generally the answer is, if you have to ask, just go DR. You don't have enough gear for it. Because, so a more detailed explanation is, yes, DR is like, well, not DR, evasion is better. However, you need more gear to boost those evasion numbers. And if you don't have it, like very high-end gear, I would just say DR is the way to go. And it also, like, you have to be a certain class to use evasion. Like, every class has set passive stats. Like, for example, Ninja Kuno have higher evasion, whereas, like, Warrior and, I don't know, Striker probably have higher DR. So, it really depends on your class, but, yeah. I mean, you could play with both of them. It's just some classes will be better with certain things than others. I've definitely played Dark Knight with both of them. I personally liked Evasion on Dark Knight a lot more, but just straight up, DR is better for it. All right, shoes. Once again, same with the gloves. DR version is Urgon's. Evasion is that. Let's actually check the price on these. So 12 billion for DR shoes, and Muskins is same thing for the most part. We didn't really look at the gloves. I believe that everything is roughly the same nowadays. Yeah. I don't know why, but like a year ago to like even recently, DR has always been a little bit more expensive because more people have been going for it. And nowadays, all boss gear is relatively the same price. So that's interesting. The Monos, the whole life skill thing. So here's my opinions on life skill gear. If you are a beginner life skiller and you're wondering what to do, I would go Logia once you're at like professional or professional or higher. And then you can get your Logia to like Tet. Never go for Pen unless you could just straight up buy it off the market. And then I would skip to Blue Gear, which is this. I don't think they even have like a set name. They have like all different ones for blue tier. So I would go from Logia all the way to Monos, because straight up enhancing Blue Gear is actually awful, to the point where you might as well just spend the extra silver and just go Monos and enhance it from there. So yeah, that's my opinion. Like, the difference is slightly higher in terms of enhancing, but the value overall is a lot better. So my opinion, beginners go Logia until you think you're ready to swap, and then go straight to Monos. There's no point in doing Blue Gear anymore. The only time I would say get a blue life skill one is if you can buy it at Pen. That's literally the only thing. All right, let's go look at accessories now. The fun part of the game, where this is where everyone struggles. Ominous rings are accuracy rings. Tungrads are the best in slot for AP. Eye of the Ruins are the same as Crescents, but with HP. And Crescents are the baseline standard, what most people go for. And the other notables are Kadri rings, because they are the DR. Like you have to have a special build to go Kadris and stuff. So I would say for the most part, most people will have Crescent rings. Like, your average player is probably going to have Tet to Pen Crescent rings. Depending on how you build later on, most people either probably upgrade to either Eye of the Ruins or Tungrads, very specifically for these two. I think the Ominous ring for like the ring slot for accuracy is not worth it. I'll talk about that more later in terms of accuracy gear, but I think most people will upgrade to Eye of the Ruins or Tungrads, and then if you go Kadris, you have a special build for DR and just tanky stuff. So let's see, actually, the price of a Pen Eye of the Ruins is 75 billion. 81 billion. Okay, that's different. 5 bill more. The price of a Pen Tungrad is 130. If you guys watch my playthrough or like my series in October through December, we were actually buying Pen Tungrads, and we got ours for like 100 bill each, and now to 130. So I don't know. It feels kind of good, actually, that I saved 60 billion. So the difference is 60 billion, and what do you get out of it? So each Eye of the Ruin ring will give you 130 extra HP, plus the cup, which is another 125. So basically, if you get 2 Eye of the Ruins, plus you add the blue cups to it, you're getting like a total of 500 extra HP, 250 per. And then I do believe 500 HP is actually like worth something. Whereas if you're going Tungrad rings, you're not getting 250 HP, assuming you're doing the same blue cups, but you are getting an extra AP per ring. And sometimes I actually think of this and I'm like, should I have gotten the HP? Because I valued HP pretty highly, and then this is one of those really weird endgame problems, like most people can't relate, but 250 HP versus like 2 AP, if it puts you up into a new bracket, then it's worth it. But if you are already at AP caps on monster zones and you're doing like capped wars and PvP, then I think HP might be a little bit better. But either way, I personally like the Tungrad rings just because big number gets bigger AP monkey. I play on NA. But I actually really thought of getting Eye of the Ruins, and I don't think either of them are bad options. It's whatever you think your build needs. All right, necklaces. Oh boy, this is fun. Okay, so notable items. Deboreka, obviously the best in slot AP ones. Lunar is the accuracy. Ogre, Leighton, and Tungrad are all the same, except Tungrad obviously gives Black Spirit Rage on it. So, when people are wondering, should I get Ogre or Leighton, they are exactly the same thing in terms of stats. What my opinion is get the one that's cheaper. In which case, as of today, if you're watching this video, Pen Ogres are cheaper than Leightons by 2 billion. Why? I have no idea. Pen Tungrads are kind of a meme. Like, if you get one, it's kind of just a flex. They're worth a little bit more, like an extra 10 billion for the extra Black Spirit Rage. And unless you're trying to get like a montage for something, I don't really think that it's worth 10 billion more. But here is the Deboreka necklace. Obviously, everyone wants it. It's permanently sold out. Grinding Ash Forest sucks. I hate it. I never really want to do it again, but we have to. So, yeah, this is the difference. Is I have a Pen Ogre. I want a Pen Debo. It's 5 extra AP. That's a lot. Do I think I'll ever get one? Probably not. Unless it's one of those things you're going to have to make yourself. I also see a lot of people going to Lunar Necklace because it is the accuracy option. And it is very expensive. But it is like actually like double the accuracy over an Ogre. And I don't actually know the formula for like accuracy versus HP. Like one AP equals X accuracy. However, if you do PvP a lot, Lunar is a very solid option, and I think it's definitely worth considering, depending on what you do. If you're a big-time PvPer, and accuracy is very important in like endgame stuff, so maybe not so much for grinding, but like for PvP, it definitely helps. So you're losing 4 AP, but you're getting a huge stack of accuracy, which is something I think is worth your time. And I don't think like anyone goes for the other things. Back in the day, people would use syrups and sissels. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. But nowadays, you're just getting one of the 5 over here. So, yeah. You'll see most people with Ogres and Leightons. Sometimes you'll see like the people who have Tungrads generally have made it themselves. And then the super 1% geared players have Deborekas, and the PvPers have Lunars. So, yeah. All right, so earring slots. Notable items, I would say, are Narc earrings, Tungrads, Vahas, Distos, and Dawns. Vahas and Distos are the exact same thing. They're just 2 different items. One is from the Ataraxian dungeons, which I think are pretty fun, but like stat-wise, these are exactly the same. Getting a base one, very difficult. Getting a pen and everything else, not too bad. Dawns are the equivalent of the accuracy versions of earrings. I believe in terms of stat-wise for accuracy accessories, they have the weakest accuracy to price value. And just like stats in general, the AP, the accuracy. However, I don't think they are bad because like at endgame, you kind of want to have a mix of high accuracy with high AP. But this one is kind of a weird mix that I think it's something you have to factor into your build. Like I would rather go a Lunar Necklace over like a Dawn in this case, but really just depends on what you currently have and what the prices are on your server. So let's see, 160. That's kind of nuts, actually. Oh, these are one of the things where I feel like if you can make it, I would make it myself because you can actually buy bases off the market, and then you could buy like a Tet or just enhance it yourself. So, unlike some other things, Dawns are something I would recommend, like at the current price of 160 billion. It might be worth considering making it yourself, but obviously if you want to skip the RNG, which I think is preferable to most people, just save up and buy it. Dawns and Vahas are basically hard maxed at 200 billion. At my stage in the game, like, accessories are the only things I need to go for aside from Deboreka's, or yeah, Deboreka's. But like, these are the only non-pens I have, and I've been thinking about actually getting Dawns or just going for pen distos, Vahas, or Dawns, and I was just wondering which one. But I have to do a lot of math because either choice is very expensive, and I do not have the silver for it. I do believe Narcs are a solid option because one, you can get one of these from the Jatina quest, which is basically free. Not really free, but like you don't spend 40 or 50 billion on it. You just do a lot of dailies. And then Tungrads, you know how you can get 3 options from the Jatina pen quest, right? A pen Narc, pen Crescent, and pen Tungrad. I do believe Tungrad earrings are like, they're not that good anymore. They used to be best in slot back in the day when distos weren't a thing, like they didn't even exist. But nowadays, if you were to get one of the 3, I would either go Narc earring or pen Crescent. The earring just like, it seems like the worst option overall. And so, yeah, I would either go distos, Dawn, or Narc earring. Really depends on how you build. I personally went the Narc earring route, but I also only use it for certain grinding. Otherwise, it's just distos. All right, belts. Deboreka belts, the best in slot AP ones. Same with the necklace. Turo belt is the accuracy option. I do believe the Turo belt is actually very solid for like, so the trend we've been looking at is you lose 3 to 4 AP, which is 1 bracket, but you get around like 25 to like 30 accuracy, depending on where you're at. And I do believe that Turos is a very solid option. Price to AP, you lose 1 less AP, you get a little bit less accuracy. But overall, I think this is the best accuracy option for accessories. Also, the price is like slightly cheaper. So Turos, very good option. Accuracy builders. Other notable items are Basilisk Belt, Voltara, Tungrads. Sometimes I see Orkinrad and Centaurs. Centaurs is the DP evasion kind of build. You have to have a special build, and you don't just get this randomly. You already know what you're doing. Orkinrad is the hybrid. I see a lot of strikers and mystics using this one. It's a cheap option for pen, but realistically, like if you're building hybrid, you really have to like build very specifically for that, because your stat line is going to be a little bit off. But your average person, you're going to see them with a pen Bassi belt or something. People who like the HP are going to go for Voltara. I chose that route myself, just because I like the extra stats on the side. So like a pen one is an extra, wait, is it 125 HP? So for all of you wondering why my HP is the way it is, because I do build HP instead of the extra AP monkey kind of build. I like survivability a little bit more, and this is the best I can do for like Dark Knights. So Tungrad belts, I don't really recommend going for a pen Tungrad. The only reason you would do it is because you get 1 extra AP over a Voltara or Bassi, but it is also very expensive. And if it puts you up into a new AP bracket, it might be worth it. But other than that, I could think of so many other things people could buy with like 30 billion silver that'll probably be a lot better than a Tungrad belt. So if it puts you up into a new bracket and you have nothing else to upgrade, that's when I would recommend it. But otherwise, don't do that. So those are pretty much the notable items. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about before we wrap up? Lightstones are a really tough one to talk about because they have something for everyone, and it really just depends what you're doing. I have a lot of combinations myself, so maybe we'll do another video of that one. Elixirs, they made a change recently where you can combine green elixirs to make them blue elixirs. So that's pretty cool, but making blue elixirs is for high-end grinding, and you're gonna wanna, like, you'll have to get the green ones, turn it into blue. Cool stuff. Life skill elixirs. I don't know. Like, most of this stuff is pretty standard. Life tools, we'll just go look at the Monos real quick. In my opinion, Monos tools are worth like 10 to 12 billion in my eyes. If you're paying like 13 and up, you're probably better off like waiting or trying to make it yourself in terms of value. The only notable Monos tools that I would probably recommend for people, if you cook a lot, the pickaxe is the way to go. Or like, because you have to make the tools, but they all go together in a way. But basically the worthless ones are the hoe. It's not really worthless if you're using it to get XP, because gathering herbs and plants and flowers and stuff is a lot of XP if you're gathering. But it's like the least amount of money because you're turning it into alchemy materials and then you're making potions. So are you profiting off of it? Yes and no. It's the least of the important ones in my opinion. If you're just trying to sell raw materials on the market, I believe the butcher knife to collect meat is the best one, followed by fluid collector, and then everything else. But either way, in my opinion, if you can get them under like 13 billion, that's pretty good. If it's over 13 billion, try to make it yourself if you can. Alchemy stones, this is a fun one to talk about because everything is wonky in price. If you are a new player thinking about what to do and you don't have a Vel's Heart, honestly, these spirit stones are not bad. But if you're looking for a more permanent option, I would definitely recommend trying to get a sharp alchemy stone of destruction. This is like your entry level permanent stone until you can get to your Vel's Heart. As for your DR players out there, once again, spirit stone into, well, I guess I would honestly recommend like getting the Perilla's Star. If you are PvEing, this one is from a season reward. So this one actually gives you a sheet DP. It's okay. I think it's more for PvE, but it's not terrible. I personally have a Resplendent Protection Stone, and I don't really use it that much because like I would have to upgrade that and all that stuff. But if you can get a Protection Stone, a Resplendent, or a Splendid is very hard to get, by the way. Like, chances are you won't. So honestly, if you're going to DP route or the DR route, Perilla's Star from the season reward is a free option, which I think is good. Life skillers out there, this is also a season reward, or at least I think it was, the Trent's tier, and I think that's really solid. Otherwise, I have a Khan's Heart, and I remember back in the day, people were like, oh, you should get a Sharp Alchemy Stone of Life just for the 3% extra gathering item drop rate. Dude, I did not feel it at all. It obviously it works, but like the difference was so minimal. I didn't really even notice it. But like I know, like I saw that I got more like materials than I did without it. It's just like, did it make much of a difference in profit every time I gathered? Is like less than 5 mil. So it might be different now. It's been a few years, but either way, Khan's Heart, if you can get one, I would say this is probably one of the easier ones to get. Like if you just put an order on, you'll probably get it overnight or something. And mastery is a very important thing in the life skill world. But if you are a beginner, life spirit stones, definitely the way to go. I don't think these are bad at all. Just use them and then don't think about it. For all of you who are thinking about getting a ship one day, I personally like the frigate more than the sailboat. Obviously, one is 6 times more expensive, but I have an entire video talking about how to go about getting a carrack and the difference between like the Volante, Valor, Balance, and Advanced. So if you want to watch that, it's a long video. But yeah, we talked about these items today. Hopefully you enjoyed this series. I know this is a longer video, but at least you got to see the prices on NA of various things. And if you liked it, drop a quick like on the video. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you guys come back. And yeah, we try to make videos pretty regularly of upcoming events, new content, and everything. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys again next time. If you liked it, maybe we'll do these videos again next month for like the April edition. But yeah, with that said, I'm out. Peace.